What is up, guys? Rick Hackus here, and a new patch has just hit the Division. Now, the main purpose of this patch was to fix several glitches, exploits, and bugs throughout the game. For example, there was a chance for enemy grenades not to display the warning area before they exploded. That's been fixed. When you were buying a muzzle attachment, it wasn't displaying the proper DPS. That's been fixed. You can't farm the Bullet King anymore. That's been fixed. So again, the main purpose in most areas of the game was just to fix several different glitches and bugs, except for the Dark Zone. There has been substantial rebalancing of the Dark Zone. The Dark Zone has changed, I'm telling you, with this patch, and that's what we're going over today, all of the key issues that have been addressed for the Dark Zone, so let's get started. Firstly, you can now heal neutral players in the Dark Zone, and I'm sure we've all tried this. If a player is really hurt in the Dark Zone and he's non-hostile, maybe he's kind of helping your group out, you toss a healing station over to him, and it doesn't work, it doesn't do anything. Well, now it actually will heal that player, so that is an interesting aspect. Secondly, thank goodness, you can now fast travel to the checkpoints in the Dark Zone, but only if you're outside of the Dark Zone. So obviously, if you're in the Dark Zone, you can't fast travel anywhere, but if you're at the base of operations, for example, you can now directly fast travel to a Dark Zone checkpoint and then just enter into the Dark Zone after that. Thank goodness for that. Now, very interestingly, another point is that when you kill players in the Dark Zone, not NPCs, but actually other players, those players are now going to drop med kits, grenades, and ammo. And this is going to really help in a sustained firefight from one group versus another. Now, there's also been several improvements to the Dark Zone rogue system. Essentially, players were finding that it just wasn't worth it to go rogue most of the time. The benefits definitely weren't as great as the penalties. Well, they have addressed that with several points. If you are killed in the Dark Zone now as a rogue or non-rogue player, you are going to lose less credits and experience overall. This is definitely great because a huge factor in keeping people from going rogue or wanting to go rogue is that they would lose so much experience, which takes so long to get. That grind to level 50 is just brutal. So kind of making the penalty for dying less is definitely a good thing. Additionally, the reward for surviving a rogue timer for Dark Zone funds and experience has been increased. So again, that's more incentive for players to consider going rogue. However, if you're listening to this and thinking, wow, there's all these incentives now to go rogue, wouldn't everyone go rogue? There's also been an update that killing a rogue player will now grant more experience and a better reward. So there's now a better incentive to go after a rogue player and kill them. Now, moving on with the update, we then find the improvements for getting loot in the Dark Zone, and this is where everything has been thrown on its head. The Dark Zone has been changed substantially, has been rebalanced substantially in this patch because of these factors we're going to be going over right now. Firstly, there is now an increased drop rate for high-end items for the level 31 and 32 bosses. This is really important because it's going to really push players to get out of that very beginning level 30 area and go northwards into the top of the Dark Zone. And those harder enemies, those level 31 bosses and level 32 bosses, are actually now going to have increased high-end drop rates to match the increase in difficulty. That is a great thing. Additionally, they've increased the drop rate of high-end tech material from named level 32 enemies. So again, there's just an additional reward. If you're in the absolute top levels of the Dark Zone fighting level 32 bosses, they're going to have a much better chance to drop, let's say, a high-end division tech, which is again just another reward for putting yourself in that risk of fighting those high-level enemies. Now here's another massive update. Remember those level 30 chests that dropped 2 blues, but by the time you got to level 30, you did not need blues anymore? Well, now those chests are going to drop 2 purples. That's huge. That changes pretty much everything. Now people are really going to be going and looking for those level 30 chests, whereas before, no one really cared about those 2 blues. Additionally, another chest change that has been made is that the Dark Zone chests requiring Dark Zone keys are no longer just going to drop 2 purples. They now have a chance to drop a high end, just like a boss. So that's another substantial incentive to be opening chests to be going in the Dark Zone. Now the last point we're going over is that although the loot has improved substantially with these changes, I mean just those chest changes have improved the amount of loot you're getting so much, there is one downside to this update, and that's that the amount of Dark Zone credits you're going to be getting from NPCs has been decreased. And again, I believe that's just to offset the massive increase in good loot that's available now in the Dark Zone, so that does make sense. Now there are some more Dark Zone issues that have been addressed in this patch, but they just involve glitches, you know, fixing error code deltas when you're trying to go into the Dark Zone and stuff like that. So in summary, this patch has massively changed the Dark Zone in two main ways. Firstly, there's now a greater incentive to go rogue. You get much more experience and credits if you survive, and the penalty for dying is less. This will hopefully make the Dark Zone feel like the Dark Zone and not just like another PvE farming place. And the second way the Dark Zone has changed is that the loot drops have massively improved, now getting a better chance to get high ends off of the level 31 and 32 enemies, and the 32 enemies dropping the better high end tech materials as well. And the blue level 30 chests that are now going to drop 2 purples instead of blues. And the fact that you can now get high ends out of the Dark Zone key chests. The incentive to go into the Dark Zone has greatly improved with this patch. And I, for one, can't wait to get back in the Dark Zone. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Now, if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating or sharing this video. Now, if you want to see more Division content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.